This is what your poop is trying to tell you about your gut health. Now, if you have a formed poop with streaks of mucus, this means that there's something going on towards the rectum. Maybe the sigmoid colon is inflamed. So mucus is actually part of the healing process. This tissue of the gut is called the mucosa. It's a mucosa tissue. It's supposed to produce mucus. But when it's showing up in the stool, there's too much mucus being produced. And more mucus is produced when something is trying to be healed. It's okay to see it once in a blue moon, but if somebody's having it day after day or weeks after weeks, then there's something more serious going on. Probably colitis, or there's a really bad fissure, hemorrhoid going on, or an abscess, or some sort of a perianal abscess or fistula forming. If someone is pooping pure mucus, something very similar is going on. Somebody will have a pencil stool or a narrow stool when towards the rectum, this opening is being closed off. Now everything could be inflamed and it narrows the passage. There could be some sort of a growth, a polyp down there that is, narrowing the passage, and it just squeezes by like that. If this happens once in a blue moon, things are probably okay, but if this is happening every single time for weeks and weeks and weeks, then you should get checked out and see what's going on down there. If you're having any poops that look like this, then after this video, you need to check out my free webinar, and I show you what I did to get over my horrible digestive issues. I had Crohn's disease, and I've helped many other people get better when things like drugs and diets just weren't working. The information that I'm sharing is from a G&M perspective. The doctor who made these discoveries about the body could look at your brain CT scan and know exactly what health conditions you had. If somebody has a white poop, then probably their liver isn't making enough bile. If somebody has a poop with streaks of blood in it, then this is the rectum, and it's scraping next to an open womb and dragging the blood with it. So that could be caused by a hemorrhoid, an anal fissure. It could be caused by colitis. It could be caused by the opening of a perianal fistula or a perianal abscess draining into the rectum. The blood will be lighter if the blood is from near the rectum, but the blood will appear darker and almost even purple if it's higher up the GI tract, because it's getting mixed with more and more stool. Somebody will have a black stool, usually from a supplement. There's iron supplements, activated charcoal, even eating certain types of food and beet juice will make your poop look black. But if that's not the case and your poop is black, then there's probably something serious going on, and if it's happening over and over and over again. But if somebody's having very dry and pebbly poops and they're constipated, and the way that I define constipation is if somebody hasn't gone to the bathroom for 3 days, and that's normal. And so essentially what the body is doing is that person suffered a conflict shock of what is something I want to hold on to, but I can't. This usually happens when somebody loses a job and they want to hold on to money, but they can't. Or somebody's going through a breakup and they want to hold on to their partner, but they can't. Or a family member is sick and they want to hold on to them, but they can't. And that's essentially what the colon is doing. They're trying to hold on to this person. They're trying to hold on to this important thing to their survival. The rectum will clamp shut and all the other muscles will spread wide open. And it's trying to suck every last bit of value out of the stool. Now, when the stool is very dry, and this person will also have a lot of excess water weight and they won't urinate as much, this is what they've suffered, and it's more in this book, the kidney collecting tubules has turned on. They suffered an existence conflict, a refugee conflict, feeling like a fish out of water. And a lot of times this happens when someone goes to the doctor and they get a really bad diagnosis and they're scared for their life and their body just starts to hold on to all their water. It could happen after a breakup or being kicked out of a group. The person feels like a fish out of water. Let's talk about a normal diarrhea that's brown. Think about the biological purpose of diarrhea. An organism has to spend a lot of calories to get food and digest it. Why would it throw away this precious thing? It's not good for survival. So in some way, this person perceived that there's this crap, there's this toxin that I need to get rid of. Now, sometimes if we eat some bad food, it makes sense, or there's something toxic inside of us that our body wants to diarrhea and get it out of us as fast as possible. But a lot of the times this is caused by some sort of emotional trauma. And if you read the old books about wars and stuff, the battlefield smelled like poop. Like it reeked of poop. And you scared the crap out of me. When I'm dealing with people who have Crohn's and colitis and IBS, it's usually because there's some crap they want to get rid of, but they can't. And so the brain triggers diarrhea to help you get rid of that crap. And now you'll find food in your stool if you are in the middle of digesting that food and that gets triggered and then it shows up in the poop. It doesn't necessarily mean that that food was hard to digest or you're intolerant to that food. That just means diarrhea was triggered in the middle of digesting this food. If you're having any of these poop problems, then what you're going to want to do is sign up for my free webinar. It shows you everything that I did to get better. This would have turned my healing journey from a 10-year journey into maybe a 3-6 month healing journey. So essentially what's happening is we're suffering from PTSD of the intestines. A traumatic event happened to us and our subconscious mind decided to put our gut into overdrive to help us overcome this stressful event. And what my 13-day protocol does is it helps rewire our subconscious so it no longer feels the need to put our gut into overdrive. So what causes a biley poop, and this poop is usually very stinky, it burns when it comes out, it's like this brownish, yellow, green color, but it really stinks and it burns. And this is caused by the gallbladder or the liver dumping bile into your small intestines without their food being present to help dilute it. And it's really irritating to the intestines, and it triggers the brain to tell the intestinal muscles to squeeze out everything as fast as possible. And you get this green-yellow biley poop. And this is caused by a territorial anger or an identity conflict. When someone paints the bowl red, this is usually from some sort of colitis, pancolitis, ulcerative colitis, and essentially the whole entire colon is inflamed and bleeding, and that blood is falling into the toilet.